When I stood on the hill overlooking the half-built houses, wind whipping through my hair and the sound of hammers echoing in the distance, I didn't feel anger, not yet. What I felt was disbelief. 96 homes, neatly lined up on the land my grandfather had sworn would always stay in our family. My land, the homeowners association had rolled in 6 months earlier, acting like they owned the valley. Big trucks, banners, blueprints out of the works. They called it Sunset Ridge Estates. The irony wasn't lost on me. That ridge wasn't theirs. It was my name, passed down from my grandfather, to my father, and finally to me. I had lived most of my life away from that land. After Dad died, I moved to the city, chasing a career and trying to outrun the grief. But that ridge was always in the back of my mind, now the place I went every summer to fix fences and breathe again. When I got a letter from a friend in town saying, "They're building houses on your property," I thought it was a joke. But when I drove out there and saw the chaos of construction, I realized something far more sinister was going on. At first, I tried the polite route. I found the developer's trailer on site, a fancy air-conditioned office with the gold logo that read Brenner Development Group. Inside, a man in a suit too tight for the summer heat looked up from his phone. "Can I help you?" he said flatly. "Yes," I replied, keeping my voice calm. "You're building on private property. That land belongs to me." He smirked, leaned back in his chair, and said, "I think you're mistaken. This land was acquired by the HOA through a legitimate transaction with the county. We've got all the approvals." That's when I realized they knew. They knew, and they didn't care. When I checked the county records, I found a mess of paperwork, fraudulent signatures, incorrect parcel numbers, and a suspicious transfer filed right after my father's death. Someone had stolen the title through a loophole, probably assuming no one would ever check. My first instinct was to shut it all down immediately. But my lawyer, a sharp old friend named Grace, told me something that made me pause. "Let them finish," she said quietly over coffee one morning. "Let them pour every dime into it. Let them build the houses, sell the lots, get comfortable. Then, when it's all done, you pull the deed out, the real one, and we take it all back. Every single square foot." It felt risky. It felt insane. But it also felt right. So I waited. I watched from that hill as they built roadways, sidewalks, and streetlights. I watched them name streets after trees, Maple Drive, Oak Lane, Willow Way, as if that would make the theft poetic. I watched families move in, unaware of the truth. Months passed, then a year, then two. By the time the last house was finished, Sunset Ridge Estates had become one of the most desirable neighborhoods in the county. And then came the day. Grace and I walked into court like a storm. She carried a leather briefcase that held the original deed, yellowed, signed, and notarized from over 60 years ago. My grandfather's name, my father's signature, and my own as the successor. The courtroom was packed with whole board members, their attorney, and that same developer who once smirked at me. Their lawyer opened with arrogance. "Your Honor, the plaintiff's claim is baseless. The land was properly acquired and developed." Grace stood up mid-sentence. "Your Honor, with respect, I believe the original deed will speak for itself." The judge raised an eyebrow. "You have the original deed?" She nodded and placed it on the bench. The room fell silent as the judge examined it, tracing the embossed county seal, the handwritten signatures, and the legal description of the property, the exact coordinates of every inch those homes stood on. 10 minutes later, the judge looked up, removed his glasses, and said the words I'll never forget. "According to this document, the plaintiff is the rightful owner of the entire tract known as Sunset Ridge Estates. This court rules in favor of the plaintiff." The room erupted in chaos. Home members shouted, developers panicked, and the smug man in the suit turned pale. But I didn't gloat. I didn't shout. I just stood there, silent, steady, remembering my grandfather's voice telling me, "Never sell what your blood built." Of course, the aftermath wasn't simple. It took months of legal negotiation, but in the end, every property owner had to settle directly with me. Some bought their plots outright at fair market value this time. Others moved away. The HOA was dissolved, and the development company filed for bankruptcy. I didn't destroy their homes. I didn't evict families. I just made sure justice was served the honest way. Today, when I walk through that neighborhood, I don't see theft anymore. I see balance. I see a lesson carved into the hills, a reminder that no matter how powerful someone thinks they are, truth always finds its way to the surface. Sometimes revenge isn't loud or cruel. Sometimes it's quiet, patient, and devastatingly legal. And when I look out from that same ridge at sunset, I whisper to the wind, "Grandpa, we got it back."